Today we're going to be making a magical forest album using only recycled packaging. So I hope that you guys are ready and let's get to it. Hey guys, this is Rosa Kelly. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new 1 hour crafting video. So today I have really no plan other than I know I want to use some packaging to create a mini album, and I wanted to use this collection here called Magic Forest. It's one of my digital collections. I am inspired to do something very woodsy, very, I don't know, like I have a Lord of the Rings in the brain, so that is what I want to be creating. And I wanted to use only recycled packaging to make this mini album, and other than that I have no plans. So let's see what we can come up with. I think this is gonna be really interesting 1 hour crafting video. But yeah, so I have been saving some of my Amazon packaging. If you don't have these, obviously any paper bag from any store really you can use for your pages, but I really wanted to use this one here. As you can hear, it's very crinkly. This is one of those that have kind of like, I don't know, it's like bubble wrap inside or something. I don't know, it's thicker. So that is what I want to use for my cover. So I'm just gonna fold these because I only want these to be this size, and I'm honestly just gonna cut these by hand. And the paper collection I printed out on 8.5 by 11, so the pages are probably 8 by 8 for the most part. I'll link it below if you guys want to work with the same collection as one of my digitals. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna be using these because it's a little bit thicker for the entire cover of my album here. But obviously we're gonna make it more mini album shape. I don't want it to be too much like a journal. I want it to really be like a mini album. Okay, so I just want to make sure this is big enough for my pages, so I think it's fine. And okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side, and so we can work on this piece here. And I am going to score to give this like a spine, and I will tell you this is probably 13 inches, I'm thinking, something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and score this at 6, and I'm just gonna score to mark where I'm folding this because I don't want this to break. So I'm gonna fold this here at about 6 inches. Okay, and then I want to mark also at 7, so that will be kind of like my spine. Okay, it's hard to score because it's so thick, but again I'm just gonna mark it there at the 7 inches and fold it, and then that way we have a bit of a spine here, so it looks more like an album, and we can have more space for pictures. So let's just play with that. I never use some actual packaging to just do a cover of a mini album, so this will be a fun experiment to do. Okay, now this back part is bigger, longer, so I think I'm actually gonna leave it instead of trimming it because I don't want this to open, because this type of envelope has a little bit of like a, you know, opening here, like a layering, so I don't want it to open. So I'll just keep the back longer, and then that could also be a fun cascading type of book where you have different size pages and things. Okay, so now for the top here, we do have a pocket, but I'm actually gonna close it. I don't want this to be a pocket, so I'm just gonna glue these so this can be all closed. Okay, and there's another little layer here, so I'm also gonna glue that, and use that, and here as well. Okay, so we're closing all of these layers. Okay, I don't want these to open. If you want to leave it open for a pocket, we can do that, but I'm just afraid of this paper breaking. Okay, because the outer layer is a little bit like thin paper. Okay, so now that I have these, I am going to be adding my paper here, my design paper. Okay, so let's pick something for we can glue here for the cover. I love these green colors. Okay, so let's see, maybe I can use, well, the one with the fairy, it's my favorite design, but I think I have used this for a mini album, so I'm gonna try to make it a little bit different than that. Oh, I think I might use maybe this one. That's an option, or maybe I can just use this guy here. Okay, so maybe we will use just this. All right, so now the paper is a little bit smaller, so I'm probably gonna do a little bit of collaging. So let's just play and see what this turns into. So I'm going to cut my paper at 6 inches. Okay, so let's cut this here at 6 inches. So take that, and I'm gonna take some of this white out, and I'm gonna glue this piece right on top. Maybe I'll make it just a little bit smaller. Okay, and I'm just gonna glue this down. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on the cover here, and then I'm going to add another piece here for the top. So let's see, something for the top right there. So I can probably do, oh, I really like this. I can collage that. We can put this map top section also. So I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, so we're gonna cut these. I have a lot of packaging next to me. So okay, so we're gonna cut this here. I'm just gonna take the top because I only need a little piece, and then again cut this at 6. Alright, so now because I don't want this to look too edgy here, I am going to just rip. Okay, so I rip this, and now I'm just going to add some glue. I'm gonna leave the center open so I can tack something there if I want to later on. Okay, so we're just gonna glue that here on top. And okay, so now I am going to be doing some inking. So I'm going to grab my distress ink and then just kind of ink the edges. Okay. And I like how this is coming along, but I hope this is gonna be not longer than an hour, because I honestly have no destination. I just want to craft and relax today, and it's not really a solid plan for this project, but I think we'll see what we will come out with at the end. Okay, so that it's gonna be that front so far. I kind of like it. Okay, so now let's do what is gonna be the back. So now the back, it's a little bit bigger. It's about 7 1/4. So I am going to just use this here. for the back. So let me cut this at 7.5 and see how wide this is. Okay, yeah, so maybe let's just cut this at 7. Alright, so let's just use 7 now. Okay, so I think 7 is good. Maybe even a little bit smaller than 7. And again, this will be more, to the measurement of whatever packaging you are using for your project. Okay, so that I'm going to glue. Okay, so I'm just gonna add the glue here and place these right there. Okay, and then I'm going to use this other piece to put on the top. So let's cut this edge, and then I'm going to maybe again just kind of rip this a little bit. Let me cut some more on the top, and let's cut this at 7 and even smaller than 7. Okay, so I'm just trying to match that other one that I cut. Okay, so and then this is gonna go up here, but again I'm gonna try to just rip this. Something like that. And now I'm going to put this here on top, and we're gonna glue this one all the way and place that right there like that. Okay, so going for a very rustic look, as I mentioned, so not really worried about all of these edges here. And I am going to just quickly ink and ink down here. Okay, so that is gonna be this, and I will cover the spine here with something else. Maybe I'll see if I have like some fabric or something for the spine, but for now that is going to be the outside. Okay, so now I'm going to cover the inside of the spine also with the cardstock paper. So I'm gonna cut a piece that is maybe going to be about 3 inches. Okay, so that way it can go all the way around. And okay, so we're just gonna glue this down, and I will need a smaller piece there as well, but I am going to glue these. And let's add some glue here. And I'm just gonna place this one right up there. And I'm going to press down, and then I'm going to just do a small piece for the bottom there. So maybe I'll use that. Maybe I can use, I'll just use this here, or maybe even this piece. Yeah, that would be, that's good enough. So I'm gonna cut these at 3 and just take some. You just need a small piece, so I'll just do this. There we go. And we're going to glue these, so I'm going to make sure this is glued, and then I'm going to add this piece over here and just place that right there, so that way everything looks covered for the spine. Okay, and then you want to give this a minute to dry, but we are going to fold this again, which is going to probably need a little bit of scoring right here. So it's hard to find when you don't see the line, but I'm just gonna fold this again. Okay, and I probably need to add more glue here in a minute, but now I'm just gonna fold it on the other bending line, and then make sure all of that gets a nice fold in here. Okay, here we go. Alright, so now we have that, and again I need to just make sure these corners are glued, which is okay if they're coming out because we're gonna glue on top, so it's gonna be secure. We're gonna add more paper on top. But okay, so I just wanted to get that going here first. Okay, so it's turning into something, I hope. Alright, so let's put that there. And now I'm going to use more of my packaging. So I save a lot. I don't think I'm going to be using all of these, but I think I'm just going to cut these and start making some pages out of these. So I'm just going to cut that here. Whoops, sorry about that. And alright, so I'm just gonna fold that, and I think I'm gonna cut these at 9 inches. That's the size of my book, pretty much. Alright, so that is 9 inches here, which I think is high enough. Yeah, that works. And then this piece, I know it has some sticky tape here, so I'm gonna go ahead and just fold and fold, something like a tri-fold, and just make sure this is gonna fit. So maybe I need to fold it a little bit smaller. This part that is sticky, I'm actually gonna go ahead and close it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fully close this side here. There we go. Okay, so we cut this at 9 inches, and then I am folding this a little bit as a tri-fold piece here, and I do want to make sure this is 6 inches or less. Okay, so I think that is a good measurement there, I hope. Yeah, it's about 6 inches here, maybe a little bit smaller, so I'm gonna just probably fold these like that. Okay, so here we go. So now this, here we have a little opening, and then a little opening, like a little tri-fold. And then remember, this is an envelope, so we have like openings on the back of each one. And then this one has even this dimensional section there. Okay, so what are we doing with these? We are going to put that back here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that there, and I am going to glue it because I want these to be really strong. So I'm just gonna go ahead and glue this down. Okay, so lots of glue, and we're gonna add that right there. Now if you would like to add some closure, maybe you can add some ribbon or twine or something on this step before putting that. So let me grab I'm gonna grab some twine that I have here. So this is some jute twine, so I'm just gonna take a piece, and before I really glue this, I'm going to put that over here. Okay, so you're gonna put that right there, and now I'm gonna close this again. Okay, and so that's gonna go here. Okay, so press down, and press down. Okay, so here we have this panel, and again with the flap and the flap. I know it looks ugly with all of this Amazon branding, but we're gonna fix that here in a minute. Okay, so that is gonna be this side, and now for the other side, I'm going to grab, let's see, let's play with another envelope. I know we have these left, but it's probably not even big enough. Maybe we can use this for something else. I'll save it. But I am going to grab another one of these envelopes, and this one I'm just gonna cut here first, so maybe I can, let's see, let me fold this in half, this back. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this at 9 inches. Okay, so I'm just making it flat so it can go into my cutter, and we're gonna cut. I'm actually gonna do 10 because I want to get just this flat. I'm gonna take this out too. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that right here, and then I'm gonna cut this other side. It's a little bit chunky, so I'm gonna go from this side and cut this at 9 inches. Okay, so we have these, which is basically going to be some pages for our book. So these are glued on the ends, so I'm going to take these out. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to open these, and I'm just gonna cut these open here at the center. Okay, and then to make it a clean edge, I'm just gonna cut it one more time here. Okay, and then same thing with the other one. Oh, I think this one. Let's try to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna take about ½ an inch from that, okay, so it can open, and I am going to take some from here also. There we go. So now this opens, and this opens like that, and I love the sound of this packaging. I love the crinkling sound to this, so I think this is really fun. Okay, so now this, we're gonna give it a good fold right here, and I hope this is not too big. So it is about 7 inches. So I want this to go on the other side, which I think is fine. Oh, perfect. So these are gonna be some good pages added to this book here. So maybe I do need to trim it just a little bit on the edge. Just take some out. Okay, so now we have this page. It still opens up because this part was already came like that glued together, so I just took a little bit out and it opens up like that. Okay, so to add this, I'm gonna make a hinge, and I'm gonna use some of my leftovers here. So I'm just going to cut another piece that is going to be 9 inches, so the size of my page, and then I do one, just a hinge. So I'm gonna take a section here, and I just really want this here. So I'm going to, this is about 2 inches maybe, and I'm going to score this piece at 1 inch. So let me grab my score tool. Let's take 1 inch and just fold it, and this is going to be our hinge to glue this down. So we're gonna glue that here, and we're gonna add this page. Okay, so I'm going to add these we're gonna put this on the back. So this is, let's say this is the front and this is the back, and then let's put these on the right side. There we go, and press down. Okay, so that is our hinge, and we're going to now add these onto this back page. So we're just gonna put that here. Okay, so let me make sure my height is good. I think it's perfect. And so let's add some glue. I don't know what we're gonna call this book, but I kind of like this is actually really fun. Just coming in here with no plan and playing with paper. So I'm just putting this right next to that bending line. Okay, make sure I'm not gluing on my bending line. So let's just move it out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So press down, and then I'm just gonna press down on this hinge here. There we go. So now this is gonna be basically our pages right there, and then maybe we can even use this other piece as another. It's kind of like a weird page, right? Maybe if we fold it, if we fold these flat, it could probably be an actual page. So play with that. Just playing with paper. That's all we really are doing here. So I'm just gonna make this go flat. There you go. And so now this can open like that. Okay, so can we put that here as a weird half page, or maybe we can put that on the corner, and then this will be another little flap page right here. Okay, so if we're gonna glue anything on this side, we want to add the twine for the closure first. So I'm gonna cut these, and let's put that somewhere up here. Okay, like that, maybe. Let me make sure it's aligned with the other side. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then I'm gonna glue these on top. I'm thinking maybe I should secure this with some tape, so I'm gonna do that. I don't want this coming out. Okay, so we're just gonna secure that right here, and take this out, and then this is the part that we are going to glue. This is our hinge. It doesn't need to be this long, but that's okay. We're just gonna put that right there, and press down. Okay, so I'm gonna open that up and press down here. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So we have this opening flap, and this opens here, and then we have that large pocket on the back, and then this little kind of like a little peekaboo thing here, and then this page that they both open, and then we have this back page, and then this opens here. So that is what we have so far. So I'm going to start adding my paper here again. So I am going to use these. I love this one, but I want the girl with the mushroom house. Let's see. Ooh, okay, here we go. I just love how whimsical this collection is. Okay, so I'm going to do some measuring because I just kind of cut things and I don't remember the sizes. Everything was very organic here. So this is about 6 3/4. So I'm going to cut my paper I'm gonna stay pretty close to the actual measurement, so I'm gonna do 6 3/4, but just a tiny bit smaller than that. Okay, so I'm going to take this out, the white, take that, and I'm gonna put this piece here. So that is going to go right there. So I do want to make sure it's not on the folding or bending lines, so I think that is good. And so maybe a tiny bit smaller, just like that. Okay, and I am going to ink these before adding it, so it will be a little bit easier. So let's just ink. And then I do need to add another piece of paper there to cover the rest of the page, because my pages are about 8 inches, or I think they're 8 1/4, but the size of the actual album is 9 inches. So I didn't want to reduce the size of the book. I love the large format here, but I just need to paper piece. Okay, so that is gonna be right here. And okay, so that I'm just gonna place. And now for this other side, I am going to use maybe this piece. Now this one we're gonna have to cut around, so maybe this is not the best option because I don't want to cut around the leg. So I will use this one. Okay, so let's cut this white out, and then this flap here, it's 5 1/2. So we're gonna cut these 5 1/2, and again I'm just going to ink this side and ink this here, and then I'm going to glue. We're gonna glue, and then we have to cut the corner out, so I'm just going to glue these, and then I'm gonna put glue on the corner and place this down. Okay, so let that dry, and then I'm gonna use the same little leftover and cut this at 5 1/2, and I'm gonna take some of the top. I only need a little piece, so I'm just gonna cut a small section here. Okay, and we're gonna glue this on top, something like that, so maybe smaller. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this at about 1 inch. Okay. And I am going to ink the top and the side. Here we go. Okay, so let's add the glue, and I'm gonna place that up here. Okay, so I think that blends okay. Alright, and then we want to cut that little remaining on this side. Okay. And I'm going to ink that up there. make sure this is really glued down. Okay, and so we have these, and then I'm gonna add paper on the other places also, but I'm just gonna speed up this bar, or maybe I'll just work off camera and then I'll be back and then we'll see what else we can add. Okay, so I went ahead and added paper on most of the pages, and so I love how this page here opens up. I just want to show you because the way the back has that kind of like glued on the side, but it's not bended, you know what I mean? Like it just opens up like that. Now if you don't like that, you know, if you have the same back, you can always just kind of like fold it like I did here. This one I fully folded it, and so it opens flat and you have a clean edge here. So I did that for this one, and then for the paper here I just went ahead and kind of glue the whole piece and just bend it, like I semi-score this so it can open like that. But I think for this center pages I'm gonna leave it like that. This will be a really nice place to journal, or you can also cover that with paper. Now I was also thinking, because my page is not all the way up, I am saving this space here to just paper piece, but this could be an opportunity before I paper piece to add a hinge and maybe add another flap here. So I'm gonna be doing that, and I'm gonna use now for my extra flaps, I'm gonna use some craft color cardstock, and I'm just gonna use a couple of these, and I'm going to cut maybe 2 pieces at 5.5. Okay, so these are 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to score along the 8.5 at 1/2 inch. Okay, so let's score at 1/2 inch, and same thing for the other one. And then I can fold along the score lines and then just glue these pieces on some of those spaces there. So maybe I can start with this piece here. I love how this feels. It just, I don't know, something about this, like cushiony but also very sturdy. Okay, so I think I was thinking on this center page right here, so we can glue these along the top. I'm gonna add my glue. Now I notice because of this paper here, I also have to really hold on to the, you know, as I was gluing these pages, hold on to the page until the cardstock, until the glue dries, because it was coming up if I was folding it too quickly. So something about that material for the paperbacks maybe. Okay, so I'm gonna add that one here before I cover that space for the hinge, and maybe I can even add this one on top, or maybe I can add it at the bottom so this can be an accordion fold. So I'm gonna do that over for this one here. So press down, and then here we go. So now we have this other extra flap added here, and this will close like that. Now some of these pages are pockets, so for example this one, this is a large pocket up here, so we could also just kind of do a little opening. So I'm gonna cut a half circle for this one so I can remember that that is a pocket here, and I'm just gonna ink around this page. So see how this is kind of coming up a little bit. So yeah, so this is something that I always have to just pay attention to and glue again. Yeah, it's not gluing as fast. I just need to reprint some more paper and add that here, and now we have this pocket. This is also a pocket here, a larger pocket, so I'm gonna leave it open in case we want to add more things, but yeah, just gonna leave that one to the side. And then I'm going to maybe use more of my cardstock to make an insert for that pocket. So I don't know if this will fit. This is 5.5, and I think I'm gonna have to cut this just down to maybe 5 inches. So let's move this out of the way, and I'm gonna do 2 of these. So these are 5 by 8.5. But I'm going to score one of these pieces at 1/2 inch along the 8.5, and so that way we can combine the two and have a little booklet also. So I'm just gonna add my glue and place these inside the pockets here, so I can open this up, and then this can go on the pocket. So I'm just gonna go ahead and insert one of the sides, maybe the shorter side, and make sure it will go all the way down, because we do have these kind of glued down together. Also, it doesn't go all the way down. So what I'm gonna do is just cut one of them short. I'm gonna cut this one short enough so it can go, so maybe down to 5. And let's try this again. So I'm just gonna put that on the pocket. There we go. And then I want this to fold on top, so I think that's kind of nice if we have this folding on top, or you can make it go all the way in, but then you have to trim this one down a little bit. And I am gonna cut it a little shorter because we have that round corner, so I'm just gonna reduce that a little bit. But yeah, so again, you play around to what fits with your recycle bags, the recycle bags that you're using. And this is a nice just little insert for that page pocket here. And same thing for this one. I'm just gonna add paper. This is also a pocket, so you can do something similar to that. And then for this piece that has that, again, nice large area, we can take advantage of that and add another piece of cardstock. So I'm gonna cut this one. I'm gonna make this one a full size, so I'm gonna cut this at 6 by 9.5, and then score at 1/2 inch along the 9.5. Okay, or maybe I can score at 3/4 inches, so I can have a bigger hold here. Okay, so we're just gonna fold, and we can glue these here. So now we have another added layer, and I will need to reprint more of my digital paper, which is the beauty of digital. You never really run out. You just have to go and reprint a few more pages to finish your project. So I'm gonna do that, and there we go. So now we have another flap that we added here, and I'm just gonna make sure this is glued all the way, and there you go. And then I'm gonna cut a little piece and just cover that up as well. So I think this is a really fun way to use your recycled packaging and at least start like a little mini album, more like a folio, I guess, project, and just kind of use that as a base and then start building with your cardstock. And I love how, again, how this feels. So now I just need to find, you can cover this with paper, but I was hoping to find a little piece of fabric to just really wrap all of this. Okay, so I found 2 fabrics in my stash that might work. So I have these really pretty, like a green with flowers, looks very foresty, more like spring look to this. So I just wanted to kind of play with this and see how it will look. So yeah, more on the definitely a girly side. I kind of like it actually, so pretty. And then I have a more neutral kind of like a canvas fabric, and that also looks, I mean, it looks more rustic, which is kind of what we're going for with this book. So I have no idea which one I want to use for this book. So let me know what do you guys think is the best option here. Now I do love these, but again, I'm not sure, but it looks more according to the book, right? More, it matches more, I think, for the look that we're going for. Okay, so I am just gonna go for it and cut a piece here. I'm not really measuring this, so I'm just eyeballing what I think it's the width that I need, and then I think this is a good height here, so I'm just gonna cut that. And okay, so let's try adding these. Okay, so I went ahead and added this fabric. I used fabric tack glue. I just glued the front, and then I added some glue and went all around. So I apologize, my camera cut off for a little bit. But then here for the center, I think I'm going to be using some of the images here from the cover of the collection. So I'm just going to be cutting some of these elements and doing a little collage here on the front. So let's cut this piece here. So I'm just gonna try to take this out by itself. Okay, so I love all the crystals. Okay, so we're just gonna take these, and then I'm going to ink this piece. And I do want to add a little bit more here to the cover. Now you can also leave the center if you wanted to add a picture. I did leave this open, so you can even use that as a little pocket. But I kind of want to just add this little village maybe back here, and let's add some glue, and I'm just gonna glue these down all the way. Okay, and then of course I want to add this beautiful well, I guess she's not a fairy, she's like an elf. So cute. And add these forest elements. Okay, so let's just take that, and then cut this piece. Also, I'm going to ink. Maybe let me cut like that. Okay, and then we're just gonna be adding this piece, and then you can use this for, you know, any of the other elements, of course, depending the theme that you are going for. So I think I'm just gonna put her up here, kind of like on the next to that that house. Okay, so I'm just gonna glue this down. I was also thinking of placing her like that, and they kind of look like that in loft. They're so cute. But I'm just gonna layer this one up here, and then I have some flowers that I think it would be cute to just add some on the cover as well. So I'm gonna take some of these, and you can just probably add some flowers. And let's see, so I'm gonna maybe put some on the, I think I'm gonna put some on the top, using my fabric glue here again to collage some flowers. Put that right there. And then I have some brown flowers which are perfect for this theme. Let that dry, then I can probably add more down over here. I do want this book to open flat, but I don't have like pop-ups or things like that, so I'm not worried about the chunkiness of the cover. So maybe I'm gonna just put these ones on the corner here. Oops. Add more glue. And I'm just gonna hold these right there for a second and place that right there. I think I also want to use this map. I'm just gonna put this map here. To kind of fill a little bit of that space. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut. And I'm going to ink. And I'm gonna try to put the map back here like that. Okay, so let's glue this down back here. And because we have that collage or that kind of cascading in the back is a little bit longer, it's okay to kind of have that sticking out of the page, I think. So I'm just gonna add more glue, and that just kind of fills that little empty space on that side. And then we can probably even add just more flowers on over here. So I'm really going all out with my flowers on this book. Okay, so I do think that it just looks so naturey with all the flowers, you know, just like the forest. This beautiful and magical forest here. So the yellow flowers are probably too yellow, so I'm not gonna use those. And I think that's gonna be it for this. I hope that you guys enjoy making this book with me. I think this turned out really cute. Actually, I had no plan, like I said, so sometimes it works out best when you just come out and play with paper and have no expectations, and then you just have, you know, have a great time crafting and also end up with something that you love. So I really love how these turned out. I hope that you guys like it as well. Let me know on the comments if you gave it a try. Let me know if you made one. And yeah, hope that you guys enjoy this episode of the 1 Hour Crafting, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.